Kambio means change. That's the idea. I'm Jo. This is Kambio for the people. Real options trades every market day, made with two AIs. CARA finds the setups, I place them. Then Claude grades the day. We build it all in the open. Education, not advice. We appreciate you coming back for the debrief. Now, earlier we placed a trade for VEV, VEEV, I guess you could call it. Now we need to see if what Claude's gonna say about the trade and how it went. Let's bring it up and let's rock and roll. So this is the debrief. So we asked Claude to assess what happened during the day and see how it went. Looks like CARA, basically the system, CARA, we call CARA the system. She basically selected VEEV at a strike price of 150, 155, and then 180, 185 on the call side. 22 DTE. The options chain 22 DTE was definitely the correct decision because of the volume, the liquidity on it. But I opted for a lower put side. So she wanted 155 and 150. I wanted 150 with or 145, 150 basically. So it looks like it would have given us a 193 from a premium perspective, and I think mine was only 164 or something like that. So I think that might come into play here. But the idea is to get the most premium per day held, and I feel like that's important. But we also have to determine the likelihood of actually like keeping our condor pristine. So if our condor, if our pricing drifts and we we actually hit our buffer zone, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like if we get extra premium, right? So that's what we need to discuss today. Also, it looks like 17 days to target on a 22 DTE. That means we're going almost to expiration, which we don't want to do. We want to go from day 30 to like 14, right? 30 DTE to 14 DTE. So like that's the real theta benefit, right? So we don't want to go that far in, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see if this was the right trade that we made today, and if it's not, then we're gonna try to fix what's wrong. Looks like the code that we wrote last night before we made the trade was to rework the strike selection, and we basically had this walk mechanism where it was like going from 0.15 to 0.25 deltas, and it was walking down from the 0.25 trying to find the right strike, right? And then a lot of condors were getting rejected because they had strike on the long side, they had strikes that are less than 0.15, so they were getting rejected. So we pulled that out. We made it 0.25 maximum, and then anything below that, it works. So especially on the long side. On the short side, we want to be around 0.2. If we can be below 0.2, that's even better. But we can go up to 0.25. So I think maybe that's the discrepancy here, but we're gonna see what Claude says. So the selection we made was nearest to 0.2, so that's pretty significant. Actually, when I looked at it, let's see, I think we were at 0.27 at that strike. This is obviously later in the day, so it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, so we're at 0.23 right now. Oh, actually 3.3. So this is the 155. We're at 3.3 right now. So when we actually placed our trade 150, we were at 0.2 on the short on the short put. So maybe this sounds like mumbo jumbo. You guys let me know in the comments if I need to explain anything. Happy to explain as much as or as little as possible. I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to talk too little. So you let me know. But let's see, where were we? But yeah, so let's see what else it says here. So they recommended the 155. We chose the 150, 145, 445, 164 was our premium, and they were gonna get 193. So I think that's kind of the difference. The question that we want the system to answer is, how do we get the most premium in as few days as possible, right? So I think they were the system was trying to say, well, this is going to give us more premium, right? But like I said, if we're going to veer into our buffer zone, then the premium doesn't matter at that point. So because we're going to take a loss. So what we want is to select strikes that are much more likely to stay OTM. OTM means out of the money. If for anybody who I don't know, anybody who doesn't know that. So let's see. If it was intentional, extra room on the downside, right? So that's exactly what we're looking for. So Claude picked it up. So we basically we lost, 30 cents to have much more confidence because you're talking about a 27, 27 delta. So you're talking about like, especially if that's on both sides. So that's like what, 50s. So you're talking about over 50% probability of going into the money, which we don't want. We want those 20s, so that gives us like a 40% chance of going into the money. So 60% chance we're gonna stay out of the money. That means our counter is gonna be solid. Let's see. We don't want to ride that line like that. So if you're at a 50% chance, it's pretty much a coin flip at that point. So let's see. So Claude's actually asking the right questions. Like, if you prefer the 150 out of 45. So we actually like are tracking this other task, and yeah, so we're gonna see like what works better over time, right? So we want to see like if it was deliberate, right? Then and not a mislog. If it was intentional, he's asking, right? So yeah. So let's see. Was it intentional? Yeah. So yes, we intentionally selected the 150 short put because of the zero point 0.2 delta. So I guess while we're waiting, a good time to explain kind of like how the deltas work. Um, I mean, I kind of explained it already, but let's say you have a zero point 0.2 on either side, so you add those up, so it'll be a zero point 0.4. So 40% of 100 is 40. Basically that's the probability of the the price hitting that mark going into the money, right? So the opposite of that is 60%, which is it stays out of the money or at the money. So we want to try to play the higher probability of our condor winning, right? So we want to play the lower deltas. Let me see. What are we doing here? Yeah. So the broker's live delta. I wonder if we're actually calculating. Where's something to look at? System. Oh, okay. So so we put in place what's called the Black-Scholes model. We use the library, a Python library actually. I think it is. Mm, it might be TypeScript. It doesn't matter, right? So we use the npm package as like Black-Scholes calculation. So at the 55, the 155, it actually gave us a point a point 0.2 delta. So that means we have an issue with our our Black-Scholes model. Yeah, exactly. So it's saying basically like if our deltas are coming back lower for higher strikes, then that's basically an issue. Yeah, and it was way too close. Like if you saw, um, so this is VEEV, right? So it's changed now, but if you look at the 55, like you still got, I mean, you still got a lot of travel in that. So That's not even out of the two. So if you look at the Bollinger Bands right here, so this line and that line, and then this is the 155, like we're not even out of the Bollinger Band. That's like 2 standard deviations, right? So we selected 150, which still isn't, but at least we're underneath all of the the lower, like the bottom touch points of the candles, right? So we're hitting the bottoms of these candles here at 150, even this guy here, even these guys here. So these guys are all touching 150. See, that's 151 right there. You do have that. It's like 148, but still, like if you consider binning, then we're basically right in that area. But at the 155, we're just way up here, which is, I mean, there is a lot of consensus here. So I talk about consensus a lot, and I look at, so like these guys are considered hammers, right? So whenever you look at little candles that have a small body, then I consider that like a fight. It's like a tug of war, right? So you get this big fight of pricing, and then ultimately at the end of the day, it kind of like agrees, right? So I tend to look at those as some sort of agreement or like a stop. So like we've got this big down run here, and then we're like, oh nope, now we agree. So you can see that disagreement, it caused one whole day of sideways, right? So you're like down, 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 down. Oh, we agree. Okay, sideways. No, we don't really agree. Okay, sideways. We agree again, right? So this agreement says like, okay, we found some sort of consensus. Um, whether that's basically going to, result in some sort of change of direction. I mean, there's some other factors that you got to look at. You got to look at this MACD, whether it's oversold. Okay, we agree, but you know, too many people this is already oversold big time. So at some point you got to find uh you know your way back to the 50 on the RSI, right? So the RSI basically oscillates around the 50, and once you have this consensus, you're trying to basically find some sort of like agreement on price, right? So um that's kind of how I see the small candles. The big candles are like run ups where like, okay, one side is basically very dominant, like this big gap up right here. See that? Big gap up and then a run up. So that means like something happened here where people are just like, nope, I think it's way more expensive. That could be whatever, right? But and people are like, no, I don't think so. So they're like selling, selling, selling. So when you get to the top, you're like, okay, people are like, okay, I made a lot of money on this. Now I need to sell. So that even, constitutes some agreement that the price needs to change back. So everybody's like, okay, we made enough. Now let's like start selling, right? So we're talking about the psychology of like the pricing here. So it kind of gets into that. Um, yeah. Wow. Yeah. So we calculated the 150 at point 0.1. Actually, is saying it's from Yahoo's data, but I don't think it's from that. I think it's from our Black-Scholes model actually. So we had the 150 at point 0.1, and then the 155 at 0.19. So that's definitely going to cause a discrepancy in our selection. So right now we're just basically figuring out, why does the system think that the 155 is the prominent, short put, whereas looking at the actual options chains in Thinkorswim, we can see that the 150 is actually the point 0.2 delta. So that's a big discrepancy right now. So me and Claude are going to work through that, and then we're going to make some changes. This is just too much, like a wall of text to kind of read right now. So I'm gonna the key point is that we've kind of discovered that our delta model is off, right? So this is exactly what we're doing. We're trying to find where's our model off, and then we make those corrections, and then the next day we try again. So over and over and over, after months and months, then we'll have this model that's pretty tight. So I think that's what we're looking for, and I think that's kind of the point of the video tonight. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna read all this stuff and have you sit here watch me and Claude go at it. We're gonna work on this all night basically. So, but for now, just wanted you to get the point that our deltas were off, and that's causing the discrepancy between what CARA came back with and what as the best trade and what I thought was the better trade. So yeah. So thanks for joining us, and let us know if you have any comments or if you spotted anything that I missed, especially like in the price action or on the deltas. If you're reading any of this this huge wall of text, yeah, definitely feel free to point anything out that you might see. Definitely love to take a look at it and have a discussion about it. That's what we're all here for. We want to try to like have as much input as possible and make the system the best, so that once we do get a fully automated system, it's placing the right trades and we don't have to worry about it. Right now, we're kind of in a validation stage. So we see what all the filtration has, and then each step of the filtration, we go through step by step and validate, okay, is this the right filtration? Is it accurate? Is it, what we would expect to find? So, yeah, so thanks for joining us, and let us know if you have any questions or concerns or, you know, input, anything like that. We'd love to hear it. So, yeah.